You know when you go to a ball game and you're the last one in, you sit in the back row. But when you go to a meeting, you're the last one in, you get on the front row. But anyway, anybody got any questions, just stop me while we're going through. And again, I'm going to talk about techniques in growing rice that my clients find useful. So may not be exactly what works for you, but it's what works for us in our area. You know, there was a time when I first started consulting 20 years ago that it was kind of a summer type deal. Now, we never quit. It's a 12-month, 365 days, we never stop talking about it. So in rice, we've got a lot of zero grade rice, so it never stops. As soon as that crop gets out, we're trying to get the field burned off, slicked off, start our soil samples. And those soil samples, we either do a core sample, we do them on 2.5 acre grids where we can variable rate, or we do them on 20 acre grids. You know, we can do it, but that's, in our area, that's mainly what we do. So as soon as we get the crop off, you know, we start trying to sample. Now, we all know that sometimes we have to mud it out. In that case, you know, sometimes it's the spring of the next year before we get to it, but you know, the soil sampling is a big deal because we need to know what those P and K levels are. Choosing the varieties, we know what we're going to put on that farm about a month after that crop is taken off. I mean, before the first of the year, we already know what varieties we're going to put up there. Now, these varieties are the main ones we use. It's not necessarily all the ones we use. You know, Lacasse is not up there. I didn't put it in the slideshow. You know, we had some Lacasse this year. You know, in my operation, I'm probably 70% hybrid, maybe 80% hybrid rice. We started using hybrid rice several years ago, and the yields were great, and we just stayed with it, and we've seen good success. You know, the XL 745 and XL 753, that's our big two. You know, a lot of that too depends on the time of the planting. You know, the 4534, you know, that's a very early variety. We like to do it because we like to get that combine in the field. You plant 4534 before, you know, you're going to be in the field. You know, if you plant it in April, mid-April, you know, in August, you're going to be cutting 4534. Roy J, we had a lot of that. I had a lot of growers that said, hey, I want to try something. I want to, you know, the hybrid's expensive right out of the gates. I want to try some Roy J. I'll tell you one thing about Roy J that we've experienced in our area. Now, I'm in northeast Arkansas, and I also do some in the Boot Hill, Missouri. When we plant Roy J in our area, you better plant it in that mid-April time frame, because if you don't, you'll be trick-or-treating and cut it in the same week. And that's in our area. So, you know, that's the thing I'll say about Roy J. Now, Roy J's yields weren't the best this year, but nor was anything else. So this wasn't really a year to say, hey, turn your back on Roy J, it's not there. You know, well, is that old workhorse that we've always planted for, seems like forever. And, you know, I've had a lot of guys call me this year and say, hey, I want to grow conventional rice, and I'm putting them on wells. So I will have some Roy J, but it will be planted between April 1st and April 15th, and probably not none after. 151, you know, I've got some of it. I don't have a whole lot of it. I'll say one thing about 151. My 151 is...
I was just wanting to ask, you said you had some Lacasse. How did it, as far as cutting, it drying down versus Roy J?
The Roy J was a little better. And I'll tell you this, I was so excited about the Lacasse, and I'm going to have some more Lacasse this year, because this wasn't the greatest year on rice yields in our area. But I'm going to have some more Lacasse. But the Lacasse looked so good all year, I thought, man, I just knew we had it. There's my new wells. And, you know, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. So that's kind of my take on Lacasse.
I was just curious. I'm from the Boot Hill, and we couldn't get it dried down in the field, and we finally cut it and put it in the bin, and we can't get it dried down in the bin.
Yeah. Well, you know, to my knowledge, we hadn't had much trouble with that. The 151, like I said, I'll say one thing about the 151. I've had some really good yields with the 151. The only thing about the 151 is the Blythe and the sheath block. You really got to stay on to it. It's not a real tall variety, and the experience I've had is if you see sheath block this week, you better stay with it, because if you wait 7 days and come back, it may be blowing out the top. But with that being said, I've had some really good results out of it. I put down here seed treatments applied to all varieties as needed based on field history. I really like the seed treatment. I worked with Dr. Harkey and Dr. Gus Lorenz on seed treatment the last couple of years. 4 years ago, we weren't hardly using any kind. We were using fungicide, but we weren't using any kind of insecticide treatments. And that's changed in the last 3 or 4 years, and I've seen great results. So, I pretty well say the only time I would say, is if you were planting real late. That's my opinion. If you were planting on up in May, or that's late June, or that early June field that your landlord said you got it leveled, you got to put it right, that we hate to do, that might be a case. But other than that, I like to put seed treatment on just about everything. We put P and K as needed. Ammonium sulfate applied, pre-flood nitrogen applied, mid-season nitrogen applied. That's kind of our program. Ammonium sulfate, I like to put it out. When I see I've got a stand of rice, I like to put it out. This year was one of those years that we were trying to find a place to cut costs, and I didn't put ammonium sulfate on some fields. Fields I did put ammonium sulfate on just took off and left them, and I won't do that again. I will be putting ammonium sulfate on our fields. Pre-flood nitrogen fluctuates depending on which variety you have. Some varieties you want to put more, some you put less. On my hybrid varieties, I think the standard is like 265 pounds, and that to be adjusted based on heavy soils and if it was in rice last year. Now, the university says 30 pounds on heavy soils, add 20 pounds on rice behind rice. Guys, that's on a field-to-field basis. If you had a field that lodges a lot, you had disease, you don't want to go in there and put 80 extra pounds, 70 extra pounds on. If you don't have a field that's lodging and you don't have a lot of disease, push that field as hard as you can push it with that nitrogen, and you'll see benefit. This year, based on what I've seen last year, I'm going up on my nitrogen rates, and the reason being is, we all know about those wet soils when we're trying to get flooded, and you're putting it out, and it keeps raining, and I'm calling Dr. Harkey every day, hey, we should have flooded 2 weeks ago. And so, that may be a case to where you bump it, and I'm going to bump my nitrogen this year. I'm going to push these varieties as hard as I can push them. Fertilizer, $300 a ton, urea, so I'm going to push it harder this year than I ever have, because I think it pays. Mid-season nitrogen, I'll say this, on my Rice Tech variety, they want 30 units at boot split. I put 100 pounds at mid-season. We've had great luck, great yields, and that's just the way I like to do it, and we've had great success doing it. Again, that's just a field-to-field basis and based on what's working for you. Weed control, I'm doing good, dog. Okay. We put command pretty well on every acre, unless it's a fresh level field or it's a really sandy field, which I have in my area very few, if any, sandy field. On my clear field varieties, I like to put clear path at a half a pound, and I'll put that at about 2 leaf rice when I see I've got a stand, followed by new path mixed with, and guys, I use a lot of products. I'll put a few products up, rice bowl, duet, regiment, beyond is needed when they're red rice engaged. Now, sometimes I put the clear path, followed by the new path, and that's all I put. Sometimes I add stuff to it. So again, don't blanket spray anything, especially on a year like this where everything's tight. It's a field-to-field basis. That $5 or $6 an acre that you may save may be the game changer when you got 2,500 acres of rice. So every field should be based on a field-to-field basis. The non-clear field varieties, Facet, 32 ounces, that's the liquid. I don't know, Doc, if they've even got those. Everything's pretty well Facet Ale now. I like to put it out with command after about the 2-leaf stage, followed by rice bowl, duet regiment, clincher rice star, and of course permanent is now actually permanent plus. So, guys, it's better to keep it from coming up than to fight it after it's came up. In 20 years of doing this, it took me about 10 years of dealing with the guys at the university telling me, hey, it's easier to do, and I was hard-headed. I said, no, it's easier to kill it. Guys, it's easier to kill it. It's to stop it from coming up once it comes up, okay? Because in our area, and I'm not going to touch a lot on it, we're dealing with flat sedge, and this is our first year. I see Terry Scott there. He knows what I'm talking about in the past. I don't know if you guys heard of umbrella sedge, but it has been a nightmare in our area. This is the first year. Flat sedge has been, I mean, I've spent hours on the phone. So if you're in northeast Arkansas, you're in the Blue Hill, Missouri, don't let it sneak up on you because it's there. It's not coming, it's here. And you know, flat sedge, I think is going to be, in rice, is like the pigweed problem in soybeans or cotton.
What's the best product you found for the flat sedge?
Bolero, rice bowl. Now, again, before it comes up, okay, if you need the propanil in the Bolero, use it. If you don't, Bolero. Disease control, this is the main 4 we deal with. Again, you know, when you're dealing with the rice tech varieties, blast is not an issue. Kernel smut and sheep blight are an issue. You know, there was a couple of years there, you know, that seemed like the rice tech varieties, you know, if you plant a rice tech variety, then you didn't have sheep. Well, that's not the case anymore. I mean, we spray sheep blight and rice tech, doesn't matter which rice tech variety it is, just like we do the 151 or the Roy J or the Weld or any other variety. The 2 main fungicides I use, Quilt XL and Tritico. So, Doc, I'm going to back up to the weed control before I go any further. Guys, I left off the burn down. Let me say, how many people in here, if you're a grower or you're a consultant, how many people know what a diamond is? A diamond hair. Everybody's got a diamond hair. Well, that is the greatest tool ever, isn't it? I mean, farmers love it. Well, it is a consultant's nightmare. I wanted to back up. I know I'm backtracking, but I had to express that is a consultant's nightmare. Because that farmer goes out there and he slicks that field off and he says, boy, it looks good, if it looks good. I said, yeah, it does look good. And as soon as that rain comes up, that diamond goes just enough to cover it up but not tear it up. So that grass starts coming, and before you know it, you got rice coming up, you got 6-inch grass, and you got smartweeds 4 inches tall. How am I going to kill it? Any argument, Doc? No. So, you know, glyphosate, sharpen, first shot. You know, I mix glyphosate, sharpen together, and I mix glyphosate, first shot. Difference in the two, sharpen is going to give you residual, first shot is not. First shot's better in my area, first shot's better on smartweed itself. So if I've got smartweed out there, I usually go with the first shot. If I've got a variety of stuff, smartweed is not bad, I like glyphosate and sharpen. And that gives you a little residual, the sharpen does. Insect control, armyworms, stink bugs, rice waterweed. That's the main. Has anybody seen that picture up top before? That's what it looks like early when we got armyworms bad in our area. Thank goodness we hadn't had that problem in the last couple of years early. We have had it late after the rice is headed. Stink bugs, you know, last year wasn't a big problem, but these two right here is the main two that I worry about with the rice water weevils. Now we're putting either Dermacor, Nipsit, or Cruiser Max. You know, I'm not having as much problem with the rice water weevils, but the armyworm and stink bugs are two pests that you better pay very, very close attention to. Harvest days, you know, sodium chlorate, we got our sodium chlorate, and we got our AIM. One thing I will tell you about the sodium chlorate, guys, don't salt it, don't do it if there's gonna be rain in the forecast for the next 8 days. And then you gotta wait till it dries, and you're 10 days out cutting it, and then you cut it and you put it in the bin, and then you call those Scott and you say, well, I didn't meal, no, that's terrible. And you know, you work so hard all year long, we do as a team, you do everything right, and then at the very end, we lose it because we don't use our harvest days right. So, you know, sodium chloride is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. You know, with our Rice Tech varieties, harvest around 18%, you know, that way you can put it in your bin, it's still not too wet. You let those Rice Tech varieties get down 14%, bad things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen with any variety. But just be aware, AIM, you know, that's kind of the product you throw in there that, you know, if you hadn't done a good job with your weed control and stuff and you've got, you know, a variety of everything that's poked through, you know, that's the case where AIM can come in. But, you know, pretty well on all of our acres, especially early, you know, we use sodium chlorate, and then, you know, by the time that that 2,000 acre grower has cut 1,000 acres, we're pretty well, we don't have to use sodium chlorate because it hadn't dried down. So, questions, anybody?
Got some ALS resistant, either nut sedge or flat sedge, what do you think?
Valero.
Valero?
I'm gonna let Doc talk about that maybe just a tad because it really is, this is what I was told. If you've got flat sedge, you better treat it like it's resistant, like it's ALS resistant. Because I seen some fields in the Boot Hill, Missouri last year that were just gutted. It got away. You know, those weren't my fields, but I seen them, they were right next to me, and they, you know, didn't go after them as hard as what they should have. It wasn't the farmer's fault, it wasn't the consultant's fault, it wasn't anybody's fault, it was ALS resistant, they didn't know it, and it got away from them and it was plowed up. So, if you're in our area, you know, be aware of flat sedge and umbrella sedge. More so, you know, we've got a couple spots that the umbrella sedge is, but the flat sedge is pretty well broad spread from Arkansas, northeast Arkansas, all the way up through here.
What's your program on the umbrella sedge?
Run. No. If it's clear field, we mix Valero with New Path. And, you know, of course, sharpen's not the answer, but on those fields that we got that, you know, I put sharpen with my command, followed by New Path and Valero. And that's, you know, that we just don't have a lot of options right now.
You're already flooded, you're gonna trash it, you're not gonna take care of it.
You're not gonna take care of it. I agree with you, 100%. Once it gets away, if you're in the flood, guys, you can put Valero, you can put rice ball on it for $40 an acre, and boy, you think, in about a week, you'll think, God, I got that. That next week, it'll start greening up, and about 3 weeks later, you should have gave me $40 an acre.
Umbrella sedge is not that susceptible to really any of the herbicides that we have. It was just a problem from the start.
Vascuron and propanol is probably the best.
Yes.
That's what we use.
Mhm.
Two shots.
Right.
Somebody get
Best
50%
option, not
of it.
cheap.
Two shots.
Yeah.
Take 2 shots at a time.
So, any more questions? How about this? Go Red Wolves.